that mean there's actually better to put it into somebody else's?
From my point of view,
Sorry.
From my point of view, yes. I think put it into somebody else's actually.
One of the producers.
One of the producers, and get them to kind of like, because you can spot play records on 6 and Radio 2 during the daytime. I think with Radio 1 that's probably possible.
You expect the producer to champion the track.
Yes.
Right. So then if I hand it to the producer and say, do you want to?
Yes, because if you contact me by email or whatever people do, and ask me kind of like how to get this record played on the radio, I can give you some kind of like general kind of feedback whether I think it's probably in our kind of area or not, or where it might kind of work. But actually, if you put it to a producer, they could actually spot play it on their show, or a presenter, they could actually spot play it straight away into their show. And then they could get excited about it, they could get feedback from the audience at home, who can really like it, they could say, well, this is a great record for us, I'll take it to the playlist meeting. So I think getting it to producers and presenters is a really key part of what you need to do.
And stations like stories as well, so if a presenter starts playing a record, and and it's obviously a brilliant record, it's going to sound good on the radio, and that artist, it kind of rolls on, and they do even more great records. And at that station, Radio 2's discovered Rumour. That's a brilliant story for Radio 2, because it's, it kind of reminds people that Radio 2 can discover new music. But I think part of, in answer to your question, I'm looking at the Northeast Invasion CD. Say there's 30 tracks on there, I reckon I've played about 8, and I know half of them have got radio pluggers, and people who are dedicated, they've been paid to get music to people like Jeff and people like me, and stations across the UK, and that's another thing, I think.
We'll talk about pluggers in a minute. There's a point here.
Yeah, just incidentally there, I was thinking the conversation missing out on the regional BBC radio DJs a little bit, because to me that's if you haven't got a radio plugger, then you want to be liked by your local BBC radio DJ, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the key to the unsigned ladder, if you want to call it that.
Well, BBC's got this. It's got BBC Introducing, which has come on leaps and bounds since it started like 4 years ago, and that's that's the BBC looking at it as a network and realising that there's brilliant music everywhere. How does BBC make the most of it? That's where all the local BBC Introducing shows come in. So, BBC Introducing in Suffolk can pass records on, and it can snowball from there. That's absolutely, that's a really important part of it, because I hope I'm not talking on your behalf, but if Jeff wants to put a record on the Radio 2 playlist, if he knows that a band is massive in Scotland and has got a massive fan base, it happened with the Arctic Monkeys. We all knew that Sheffield was mental for the Arctic Monkeys. Radio 1 picked up on it, and it snowballed from there. And so if we know that Let's Buy Happiness are doing Great Guns in Newcastle, then that's appealing, and it's those local shows that kick it all off.
Let's just talk about pluggers. Does everybody know what a plugger is? I'd like to just ask Jeff, who's probably met more than any other living person in the United Kingdom. What makes a good plugger? I mean, some of them are the most ghastliest people on the planet, are they not? And others you have a lot of time for and you really like them and they're your friends and colleagues.
Yeah.
But what, on the face of it, it's a pretty ugly job, isn't it? Because they're coming in and saying, Jeff, I want to weasel my way into your world, and I want you to play my record. And they use every possible blandishment they can.
Less and less so, I think, when they blandishment.
Sadly, the portmanteaus of cash are empty these days, aren't they? Do you know, in all the years I did that, no one ever offered me anything. When I became head of music at Radio 1, people said, oh, you'll be laughing, you'll have a yacht, bags and bags of cocaine. I never got anything. When I was a producer, years ago, EMI had been bought by Ford, the people who made fridges, and some bloke did rather sheepishly suggest that if I wanted discount on the washing machine, I need look no further. But no, it was a source of great disappointment to me that I was never allowed to be corrupt. But Jeff, what makes a good plugger? If guys in this room are looking to use the services of a plugger, what do they get?
I think you should. I say to a lot of people in terms of artists about whether they're pluggers or promoters, what you're going to call them. I think it's sometimes, first thing, it's about a question of your time. Have you got enough time to kind of hang around radio stations like Radio 1 and Radio 2 and 6 Music? Wouldn't you be better using your time creating more music or that sort of thing? So I realise this costs money. but I sometimes think it's a good thing to have the right plugger. And that's the key thing, is what makes that really good plugger. And I think it's about those, you have to have that relationship with, I guess it's like getting a lawyer or something like that, you know, you have to be able to have a good relationship with them. You have to know they're effective, but you have to be able to yourself look at them in the eye and kind of like know, well, you're going to really look after my music, because yes, there are people out there who will just come into my, I found out the other day, somebody said to me that they get something like, oh, thousands of pounds just for seeing me. Yeah, and it's astonishing. I mean, I should have realised years ago, but I'm obviously too naive. But it's kind of like, it's a big thing to come and see a head of music. So when those people come into us, we have to see through any kind of like crap they're kind of thrown at us, because they will sometimes do that. And actually, in the end of it, it's down to the music. If we know our music and we know what our stations stand for, that'll be fine. But that's the thing to look at, I think, from a promoter or a plugger, is do they understand the radio stations? Does it sound like they understand the radio stations? What sort of track record have they got? What have they done in the past? Who are they working at the moment? Do you like those artists that are working at the moment? Because that will give you an insight as to what these guys are about. You have got to be careful, but I think, you know, I think I'm finding now less and less people, maybe that's just the way of the world, the economies of the world, less and less people are the kind of the charlatans that used to be. I think people nowadays, there are more genuine record promoting people, and there are people, particularly kind of in the alternative sector and anything like that, who are genuine about their love of music. And I think people who are into music, you guys here, will sit down with somebody and know whether they're into the music or not. And I think that's what you've got to do. You just got to judge them from that kind of like experience. And then, you know, if you can chat to other people who have had experience with them as well in the past, that's really important. But I think the key thing is about those people as individuals, whether you get on with them or not.
There used to be a guy who used to come around Radio 1 who made the great mistake of leaving his notebook for us all to read once. And in it he'd written down the names of the producers and their favourite football teams and the name of their children and all these kind of things, so that he could come in and say, oh, great weekend for the Wolves, or whatever it was, and you go, no, it's Notts County, my team, sorry. Pluggers, are you infested with them, Huw?
Yeah, of course. Everybody on Radio 1 gets sent a lot of music by pluggers. There's good and bad. There's large and small plug-in companies. There's, you know, some will charge you an absolute fortune to do something that you can do, which is just kind of email a presenter or post it to them, or if you are, you know, by the station that you want to get played on, drop it off in reception or give it to them at a gig or whatever. I think a record that gets played on the radio, when I say record, I mean the track. So, it's just to clear that up. So it's like a piece of music, not an actual record. When a piece of music gets played on the radio, I think that's normally, for me, it's a combination of things. It's hearing it, it's liking it, it's knowing that it's good. You can hear that it's quality. It doesn't matter what the genre is, as long as it's quality and it's going to sound good on the radio. And it's recommendations from people. If I hear from 2 or 3 different people, if it's friends or promoters, or if I read about them in a magazine or on a website, hear them on different shows, know that they're gigging, it's a combination of things that gets finally played. And sometimes the plugger can be just that tipping point. It's just a supplier of music, really. Don't worry about getting a plugger if you're just starting out. It's the last thing you should be doing. As Jeff said, plugger needs to be somebody who likes your music, who understands what you want to do with it. A bad plugger, send me records every week and they send me a batch that much. And I know they've charged the bands and the artists that they're posting records to hundreds of pounds. And that's all they do is post it to me. Well, that's like 26p. However much a stamp is, 20p. Yeah. How much is that? Whatever it is,
emails.
It's not £100. Emails free. I mean, I get email tracks on my BBC account. I try and listen to as much of it as possible. I can't listen to it all because I've only got one set of ears. I get letters going to Huw Stephens or whoever opens this post as if I've got like a room full of like people going through the post listening to it. And people go, you know, do you actually listen to it? It's like, of course, because you don't want anybody else kind of judges it because they might pass on stuff.
I think one thing, just to pick up something Huw said earlier, which in my experience has always been really important, he used the word story. You know, if you're ever writing to a DJ or a producer, it's no good just filling the available space on your sheet of paper on the back of your CD or whatever it is with a load of old bollocks about how you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and a load of hyperbole. You just read all the websites and put down a lot of words like, you know those kind of words always used to describe music like sinuous, because people don't care, they've seen all those words. What they are interested in is the story of the group, you know, where are they doing well, where, you know, how did they come together, what's special about this group that is going to give them something to say on the radio. Point over there.
Does it help or hinder cross-referencing to other artists?
Well, if they sound like somebody, personally, you can tell, can't you, just from listening to the piece of music, if it's, you know, no, I'd say it would hinder it. I mean, to be honest, a piece of paper, as Trevor said, you know, a piece of paper, I don't read it unless I like the sound of the music. Sometimes I'll have a look at it. There's, you know, you'll still get in an age of Soundcloud, you'll still get 10 pages of pictures of the band looking moody in the kitchen. Waste. It's fun to do. I know it is. I ran a label for ages, for 2 years, and you know I did all of this, and you know I still get sweets. Bin them straight away. Steve Lamack does a brilliant thing, a demo panel where he actually sits down and he opens up his post for 2 hours, like he does on a Saturday morning at home, and you know any food in the bin, anything with a coloured envelope, get your name wrong on the thing, all of these things. They don't really matter, to be honest. The main thing is if the record and if the piece of music that's being sent to you is good enough to play.
And also, if you write, as so many bands do, you know, we were influenced by Van Morrison and the Killers, and you look at this and you think, no, surely not. And often you get that thing that says, imagine a world where DJ Septex meets Nick Drake. No, I don't want to imagine that world. That has not helped me understand your music at all. It's much better to...
I actually really want to hear that record.
Yeah, okay, I'll upload it. I'll get Mark Ryan to upload it. He's probably already working on it.